Unhoused sounds more like unhinged. Yeah. Yeah, it does. But you want to know what else is unhinged? Australian comedian Isaac Butterfield summoned to court over offensive jokes.
Oh, this one.
No kidding. The Australian comedian.
Sorry. I was just gonna be obnoxious. It's fine. Keep going.
The Australian comedian Isaac Butterfield announced he has been summoned to court over offensive jokes told during performances in Perth, Western Australia in 2022. Queensland Human Rights Commission requested Butterfield's presence after a single person made a complaint on grounds of public vilification based on race, religion, sexual identity, sexuality, and gender identity. Yeah, he discusses it a little bit here, and I kind of made like a little mark on it so you guys can understand what's going on with it here.
Whatever. Okay, so here's the complaint, and I'll keep the person's name private. Okay, so here's the questions. They ask questions to it. Have you been sexually harassed? No. Okay, I'm off to a good start. Congratulations. Do you feel you have been victimized? No. Okay, that's good, I guess. Are you making a complaint about public vilification on the basis of race, religion, sexual identity, sexuality, or gender identity? Yes. Okay, great. So if this Human Rights Commission finds that I am in the wrong, as I said before, they set a precedent that any comedian in this country and perhaps other countries could very well... I don't even know what happens here if I'm found in the wrong. Like, no one's explained that to me. If they do find me in the wrong, then they can be brought before this commission in trouble. Their name is just sort of thrown through the mud. They're a piece of shit. They're a racist, all that type of stuff, just because of a joke. So that...
I want to point out that little sign behind him.
Oh yeah, have you not? Do you not watch Isaac Butterfield?
Yeah, I've seen a few of his things. Yes, I just wanted to point that out because that's funny.
He's got it's part of his little running shtick of all the things he says at the end of videos.
That is the precedent that we're tiptoeing around here. So here's another question: is this a court? It's actually a tribunal. I don't know the difference between tribunals and courts, and I think that's why I titled the video the way I did. At least originally I titled it about going to court. I just didn't think going to tribunal had the same ring to it. Are you complaining about a breach in your human rights by a public entity or someone who works for a public entity? Yes. Please indicate which of your human rights listed below have been breached. Recognition and equality before the law, cultural rights, generally cultural for Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islanders people, protection of families and children. Provide details starting with the first event and then proceeding to the second and subsequent events. Tell us what happened. All right, shall we? Isaac Butterfield is a comedian who began his tour The New Normal in early 2022, where he visited Mackay, Townsville, Cairns, Warrnambool, etc, 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 etc. Isaac Butterfield is a well-known comedian. They put comedian in fucking quotation marks. How rude. On his social media accounts. On the 27th of January 2023, the day after Survival Day to many Australian people, Australia Day, of which I'm a proponent of moving the date, just so you know, Isaac Butterfield posted a video on his Instagram social media page with a vilification 1-minute rant. No, it was a stand-up bit, but okay. This was brought to my attention by a friend of mine who felt victimized by Isaac's comments and wanted to share this with me. Some of the comments he made were, because this is always terrible when they put fucking stand-up into just words on a page. White people in Australia never really culturally appropriated Aboriginal culture because there's nothing that we really wanted. Except for the kids. All right, yeah, it sounds fucking horrible. I get it. This is a clear reference to our stolen generation, which is a horrible event, but people make jokes about horrible events all the time. I continue. That's what they wrote. Isaac, I've never seen Aboriginal pornography before, and on top of that, I've never seen an Aboriginal pornographic magazine. Turns out I have. It's known as National Geographic magazine, etc., etc. After receiving public backlash, Isaac deleted his 1-minute video. It actually was taken down shortly after. On Saturday, the 4th of September, they must mean February, Isaac posted a new video with some context explaining that these discriminating comments are just jokes, because it's a stand-up show. That's what happens there. Again, this was brought to my attention from a friend who had found these comments extremely traumatic, as do I. Isaac tries to justify these racial vilifications by claiming these are jokes, and if we don't like them, not to follow him. Sounds like a pretty standard thing to do. As an Aboriginal woman living Somewhere, Isaac's actions and lack thereof understanding has made me feel extremely unsafe, vilified and discriminated against, all the essence of a joke. Okay? As my family and many others were a part of stolen generations, our trauma hasn't healed. The fact that his jokes, in quotation marks again, are out there for all to see makes me feel like I can't protect my daughters. Come on, fuck.
Yeah. So that's the complaint. Because he said something that I don't like, I feel unsafe and traumatized.
Yep. You know what's funny? I made a short TikTok, whatever, and I put it on like all my platforms, right? And I had a couple people like, well, what was the joke? It's like, you don't get, it literally doesn't matter. The joke itself does not matter. It's the fact that now, well, and it's been happening for a while, where comedians aren't allowed to tell offensive jokes anymore, depending on who's offended. Like if it's a joke that is from, which is hilarious because a lot of like, I see a lot of like leftist female comedians and none of them are funny. Literally none of them are funny. Like
Not at all.
It's just like your jokes are just virtue signaling. That's all it is. And then everyone goes, ha 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 ha.
And
like,
leftist male comedians aren't even funny either. I mean, look at Stephen Colbert. Look at what's his name? The dude from The Daily Show that took over after Jon Stewart. Trevor Noah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
it's
funny.
not funny anymore at all. There's no comedy to it. It's just let's make fun of people we don't like, and it's just being like mean spirited kind of situation. It's not even pointing out funny things, you know.
Yeah, and a lot of it's just taking shots. Like it's not actually creative in the sense of the reason that there's so much edgy comedy is that it actually takes quite a bit of creative work to make certain things funny, right? Like you have like a horrible tragic incident, and if you can make a joke out of that is actually funny and kind of gives you like a oh no goodness, you know, it's like, well, you've succeeded, you've won, you did a good job of making light of something that is hard for some people to deal with. And there's a lot of people who deal with bad things in their life like that. They have to kind of, you know, the dark humor type of thing. And I don't know, I've always liked like more edgy comedians, I guess I would say, but people don't laugh at themselves anymore. Comedy is all but dead. You have to be able to laugh at yourself. Yeah. And it's funny because, I don't know, the whole idea that anyone would think it's acceptable on any level to, you know, to do this type of thing, to send a comedian to court or a tribunal or commission or whatever it is, you know, over jokes that were made during a stand-up show wherein nobody at the actual show was offended. It was somebody who just watched a clip of it on YouTube Shorts. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just picturing somebody sitting there just like flipping through, and then they see this clip, and then they're in the safety of their own home sitting there going, I feel traumatized and unsafe. No, you don't. Like, you feel offended or emotionally upset. Those are two different things. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's. Look, if we cannot laugh at. There are stereotypes for a reason kind of situation, and if we can't laugh at them to get over them, we're always going to be stuck in that, and we're never going to move past that point. And I feel like that's actually what they really want with it.
Yep. And it's, I don't know, it's so interesting because like some of the best comedians back in the day were actually pretty liberal, like George Carlin, Lewis Black, which he really fell off the deep end there at the end, which I saw him live at one point. I didn't like go to a show. I was working at his show, but
he was incredibly funny back in the day.
Yeah, and they were all very liberal, right? And it was like the opposite. Like it was the more classically liberal mindset of you should be able to criticize things. You should be able to make jokes that are offensive in nature. You should be able to just say what you want to say and have no penalties from that. But the progressives are running the show in all of the Western countries, and they don't like that because they're the exact same as like the far right. You know what I mean? Like the far left, far right. It's the same thing. It's the exact same tactics, the exact same behaviors. And for some reason, there's like an inability to see that and understand that. There's just no self-awareness.
Hurt by comedy, by thousands of violent inmates across their southern border that are seriously going to hurt you. Yeah. Thousands? Try millions.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure not every single one of them are going to hurt somebody, but the southern border is looking like a war zone at this point because Title 42 has stopped. Yeah, cartels are actually starting to take over down there, and it's a disturbing thing to even look at.
Well, I mean, just look at even any big city. It's like more like a war zone than it ever used to be. And it is really interesting in this day and age of, like, if I feel emotionally upset, that means I'm unsafe. Meanwhile, they completely ignore people who are physically unsafe in, like, these big blue cities and just say, oh, you should just let people hit you. You can't fight back because then you're in the wrong. Because then, like, if you can't defend yourself or other people now, it's wild to me. I don't know how.
Look, you can't defend yourself or other people, or yet you're going to be tried for murder like the dude on the subway. Yet if you take it on a pride flag, you're going to get hate crimes. Like the maximum amount of hate crimes. What? Because a homeless man, the people that they're trying to not vilify, took a dump on a pride flag and wiped his... cleaned himself up with another one. They're going after the maximum penalty for hate crimes.
Which is just wild to me. It's very clear. It's like, if you want to know who is running
and this
things...
is in the same city, by the way. This is still New York City we're talking about.
And it's... But if you want to know who's running things, look at who you can't criticize. Look at who you're not allowed to push back against. And it's so... I don't know. All of the woke crap is so crazy to me. And when you bring it up to somebody who has this mindset, they just throw a million different things at you to try to, like, escape the truth, escape like reality. Like, it's like, bro, it's very clear. I don't know. I've had some interactions lately where I'm like, you're just shifting the argument so that you don't have to actually answer or contest with what I've brought up with the points that I've made. And if you have to shift your argument, well, then you don't have a very good argument to begin with.
Not at all. But I guarantee you, if that dude had actually taken a dump on an American flag, he'd be heralded as a hero and probably a millionaire by this point.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that interesting? That, like, not funny, haha, funny, weird. That, you know, you can step on an American flag, you can burn an American flag. No issues there, according to the left. But if you would do the same thing to, like, the pride flag, you know, they lose their minds. And it's just like, bro, why are you... this is so crazy to me. And I used to be a big, like, yeah, burn the flag type of person. I never did anything like that, but I was always like, you know. And now I'm just like, it's just... Like, you should obviously have the right to, you know, it's covered under 1A, but it's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, you have the right to. Should you? Probably not. It's insanely disrespectful to the people who have devoted their lives and the families who have lost people in war, and, you know, all the veterans that are serving, all the veterans who are going ignored, and who are having mental health crises, and we're just ignoring them, and nobody cares about them. You care a lot about, you know, the illegal immigrants coming across the border who aren't vetted, but you know, the people who have actually fought for our freedoms, you don't seem to be too concerned about their well-being. It's very...
Or the illegal immigrants that came across the border that were unjabbed. Meanwhile, they forced it down your veins because reasons. Yeah.
Yep.
That happened. But anyway, You want to cut your? Yep, there we go. You want to cut your feed here and go off onto off label or?
Yeah, we can do that. So yeah, everybody who's on Freely Ashley channel, head over to off label. I think last few shows we haven't been cutting the feed.
No, the last one we just went all night.
Yeah, but that's typically what we do. So if head over to the Off Label podcast channel, please subscribe over there because soon we're not going to be streaming on all the platforms. We're going to just keep it over there, keep it localized.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Tonight is the actual last night we are going to do it on all channels. So y'all definitely go over there because I'm trying to be really nice and not screw up Ashley's channel. And I don't want to do that because that'd just be... I'd feel like a huge butthead if I did that. So yeah. And yeah, she's already having problems with hers on her own, and I don't want to be that problem either. So yeah, tonight's going to be the last night we do that. Not to mention the fact that we will be switching up nights very soon because summer's coming up. You know, everybody's going to be out on Saturday nights and things like that. So we probably may even just switch it to a Sunday thing, just to wrap up everything on a Sunday night. Because I mean, nobody's out doing anything on a Sunday, and if you are, well, what are you doing with your life? So,
also, my husband always complains that on Sundays there's nothing for him to watch. Because like, you know, he's been through the week, he's seen all the new stuff. There's nobody who does a whole lot of stuff on the weekends. So I feel like a lot of people are probably in that boat. So yeah, I think it's a good chill night.
All right. So we're just going to go ahead and cut the feed for Ashley's channel, my channel, and we're going to go to the off label on YouTube and Rumble only. Definitely go follow that. The links are right there. You can choose whichever one you want, YouTube or Rumble. We will be cutting the YouTube feed, and we have a little Rumble only topic that we do want to talk about. That is kind of it's kind of worrisome, so we will be touching on that as well. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and cut it now. We will see you on the off-label side. I almost clicked the wrong button and almost ended it all.
Oh no. Don't do that.
I need like a little splash screen for all of this.
I don't know what that means.
We change all that up. Like a little waiting kind of thing so I can change it all up and, you know, do all that. Yeah. All right. So we are free. All of that. Yeah. We are closed down
beans.
There. But yeah. All right. So we are going to go ahead and... I should have played this, but I didn't want to hurt your channel just in case. But here is the joke that the dude is getting canceled for, ladies and gentlemen.
On the same page. It's so easy to write Aboriginal jokes. They write themselves. The most Aboriginal word in the world, corroboree, has the word robbery in it. White people in Australia never really culturally appropriated Aboriginal culture because there's nothing that we really wanted except for the kids. We, let's be honest, we never looked at tapping sticks and thought, oh, fuck, we need those. I thought I'd never seen Aboriginal pornography before. And on top of that, I thought I'd never seen an Aboriginal pornographic magazine. It turns out I have. It's just known as a different name, National Geographic magazine, all right? One more. This is the piece de resistance. Have you ever seen a transgender Aboriginal... Of course you haven't. They're hard to spot because the ladies already look like blokes. There you go. Okay,
so yeah, that was it. That was the little clip that one person had a fit about and is dragging him in front of a tribunal because it hurt their feelings.
You know what's interesting? So, did you understand the kids reference?
Yes, that was the stolen generation where they were taking the kids away from the Aboriginals. Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so
I get it. I do get it. But come on.
No, that was the worst one, right? Like, I would say that's objectively the worst one in that grouping. The other ones weren't like, I don't know, they weren't crazy bad to me, I guess. Like I've heard way worse jokes like that from really big comedians and stuff. I don't know. So yeah, it's just one of those things that's like, yes, not everyone's gonna find that funny. It is offensive. It is offensive on purpose. It is supposed to be offensive. It's supposed to be that kind of like jarring, like, again, like, oh man, I shouldn't be laughing, but I'm laughing. You know, either because of the delivery, the punchline. There's a lot of different ways to make something not funny. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of it is always in the delivery of the joke. If you have a really good delivery, you're going to make people laugh.
Oh, yeah.
And there's been comedians that have made jokes that I did not think were funny at all. And I was like, not for me. And then I just went about my merry way and lived my life. Like Chris Rock, we just watched his newest special, and I didn't really think much of it was funny at all. Like, I just kind of, like, sat through it, like, okay. Next.
I never realized how racist Chris Rock was until they started bringing up the racism thing, and I listened to him again, and I was just like, how did I not see this before? I mean, I don't care, but how did I not see all the jokes about, you know, white people and, you know, it's really actually kind of offensive at some of the things he says. But, I mean, did I just not pay attention or did I just not care in either way? The latter is, of course, the truth, but.
Well, it was super popular there for a while, which I think it's always probably been popular, but there was a lot of big comedians for a really long time doing, like, just really offensive jokes towards white people in general. And those were always laughed at, and nobody ever had a problem with those, like maybe individuals, but there was never any outrage about that. Like, no. Dave Chappelle is another really big one. He's kind of crafts a lot of jokes like that, like at the expense of white people or making white people out to be the problem, whatever. There's a lot of that stuff that's funny too. Like, although I don't ever understand, like, there's certain, like, stereotypes of white people that I literally don't understand, like the no seasonings thing. It's like, what are you, like, white people don't season their food? I'm like, bro, I season my food probably too much. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Especially so Italian food. Yeah, you can't eat Italian food without seasoning.
Well, there was, like, you know, I don't know, when you learn about even just like coming over on the Mayflower and all the spices, and it was a really big part of that. And
the East India Trade Company was mainly spices. Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole thing is just silly. Like, I'm just I don't know. Again, there's jokes that can be made that are super offensive that can be super funny depending on the delivery. It just depends. Right. And I'm just not.
Once we get set up here, we will actually be bringing on other people to talk to us and everything. And just when we get this pushed along a little further, that will be a thing. We were actually going to have Joseph Santos on, but he never got back to me on that one.
Yeah, and I think if we bring anybody on, we just have to, like, we'll probably vet people pretty thoroughly.
Oh, we have to do a fair bit of vetting on that, because it's not just going to be some random person that's just going to be able to tank our channel.
Yeah, I just, there's people who have, like, nefarious intentions, and they'll purposely come on people's streams to like, lead people down a road that they know is going to get, like, their channel banned or flagged or something of that nature. I see it all the time with live stuff. So, just
you never check the Discord, Joseph. But yeah, if we feel like it's going to be something, like, really controversial or something, we'll definitely make it a Rumble only thing. We actually want to start doing, like, little Rumble only segments to where we can let loose a little bit more on things. But yeah, some things we just can't do on YouTube.
Gotta play the game. Stupid.
Yeah.
It's so wild to me because, like, back in the day, YouTube used to be just so crazy. Like, the landscape was just nuts. Just like Tourette's guy and stuff like that. Like, that would never fly anymore. It would never fly.
God, no.
So popular.
Thanks for watching this clip of the Off Label Podcast. Look, we all hate to be told this, but just like me, everybody needs a reminder once in a while. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good jazz. Make sure this information keeps getting out there to people. We need to be able to start talking to each other once again in a good, healthy, conversational way.
I'll make it look like I'm losing.